Hello, welcome back to Jojo's Bakehouse. So today I'm going to be showing you how to make some carrot cake and cream cheese frosting. Now the cream cheese frosting I'm hoping you're familiar with on my channel. Obviously I use my unique tip with the cream cheese frosting to remove the water from that. So if you want a more in-depth view of how I do that, pop over to the cream cheese buttercream on my channel, otherwise we're going to skim through that today. I have made some cupcakes with this recipe as well, so I will put the description in the description box. I will put the ingredients for the cupcakes in the description box, as well as then the ingredients for the cake. So let's begin. Let's get rid of these in 1 second. There we go. So I've got 3 tins which I have lined here. So make sure that you've done those in advance. My tins are 8-inch tins, so I've got 3 of those, and we're just going to begin now with the ingredients. Now if I say these ingredients too quickly, don't worry, just pick them up in the description box underneath. Right, so this is a really simple recipe. So in here I've sifted all together these following ingredients, so this is why you might need to look at the description box. So I've got 350 grams of self-raising flour, I've got 2 teaspoons of bicarbonate of soda or baking soda, I've also got 1 teaspoon of nutmeg, 2 teaspoons of cinnamon, which I can really smell, and I've also got 1 teaspoon of salt. Now I have sifted all those together so it's really light and it's all incorporated really well before I put them into the mixer. Now if you don't have self-raising flour, not a problem. For this one here you can use plain flour and just use a teaspoon of baking powder at the same time. So I will put that in the description box as well. So let's begin here. So I'm going to put those dry ingredients straight into the bowl. And then I've also got 150 grams of caster sugar and 200 grams of light muscovado sugar. So they're going to go in as well. And then we're just on a really low speed, just going to make sure that they're nicely incorporated. So hoping it doesn't fly at the bowl at me, just make sure that it's all looking all combined, which it is. That's brilliant. So now we're going to add the wet ingredients to this. This is such a simple recipe. So here I've got 6 eggs and I've also got 2 teaspoons of vanilla in there. So let's just pop those straight in. And I've also got 350 mils of vegetable oil or whatever oil equivalent you would like to use. And we are now going on a low speed again to blend this through. It spat at me a tiny little bit. So what we're going to do then is after that we're going to add the carrot. I like to add my carrot last just because I like to make sure this is nicely combined. And then we're just going to put it into the cake tins. So this really is a simple, it's actually taken me longer to get the ingredients out than it is to make the cake. So this looks lovely now, almost looks like caramel. So you can see there, it's quite wet, but then it's going to be because it's got oil. But if you can see that there without it all falling out, it's lovely and combined. There's no lumps in it. You can't see any dust or anything like that, so it's very silky. So now in goes the carrot, and I've got 350 grams of carrot there as well. And that's just going to have a quick go as well. Lovely. Now this is an optional extra, you don't need to add this, but I really like the texture in the carrot cake and the taste of raisins. So I'm going to pop in 130 grams of raisins into there. Again, if you don't like them, then just leave them out. So I'm just going to spin that around as well. And that is it. Give me 1 second, I'll get my tins here and we will start putting it into the tins. Okay, so I'm ready. Take this off, give that a scrape down as best we can, because the carrots always get stuck ever so stringy. There we go. Right, I'll pop that on the side there. Now it is a really wet mixture, Just give it a go around just to make sure that everything is definitely incorporated. Now you notice when I'm doing mine, I don't scrape the sides down. That's because I've got that creaming paddle. So if you don't have a creaming paddle, just stop every now and again and really scrape those sides down, because you don't want mixture stuck at the bottom. So I'm happy with mine. And then I'm going to do it by eye, but if you want to measure this and get them the right amounts in each, that's fine. If you want to spoon it out piece by piece, that's fine too, but I'm quite happy just to pop mine in. It smells absolutely lovely. I love carrot cake. Really is one of my favourites. Okay, let me just pop in that last bit there. This one. And then we're going to put them into the oven. Now I have a fan assisted oven, so I can use 2 levels of my oven. If you don't have a fan assisted oven, they need to be side by side and nothing on the top, because the air is not circulating around. So maybe do 2 and do them larger and put them in for a longer time. But if you do have a fan assisted, that's brilliant. So my fan assisted oven, I'm going to do on between 160 and 170 degrees, whichever you're normally happier with. I like to stick to 160. I'm going to pop these in for 20 minutes to start with and have a look. I'd say it'll take between 20 and 25 minutes. If you have a conventional oven, then make sure that you put them in at anything between 170 and 180. Again, the usual setting for your sponges. So I'm going to pop these in and I'll come back to you in about 20 minutes time. Okay, I've just taken mine out of the oven. They took 23 minutes. So here we are, lovely and flat across the top. So really nice mixture, this one. So I've got all 3 on the top here. I'm going to leave them there to cool, and I will get back to you in a moment and we'll start that buttercream. Right then, cream cheese buttercream, my way. So this is a extremely pipeable buttercream. It's not runny. We remove the water from the cream cheese, which is always the problem with cream cheese. I came across this method and I absolutely love it, and I'm really happy to share it with you. There's been so many success stories with this, and thank you to those of you that have shared those with me. So to begin, I have got 250 grams of soft butter. Obviously been left out overnight, must be soft, and that's unsalted because I prefer to use unsalted butter. And then I've also got here 150 grams of full fat cream cheese, any cream cheese, and we'll pop those in. So excuse me. So what we're going to do with this is we are going to whip it up together on a medium speed and keep going. And what's going to happen is it's going to look like it's combining, it's going to stop combining, and lots of water is going to come out of it. So let's begin. Right. It is taking a minute. It's probably going to take about 2 minutes to get to the stage that I want it to get to, where the water starts to appear. You will start hearing a difference. At the moment, there's no sound, it just sounds like regular butter. It is going around really nicely. I've got the creaming paddle. If you don't have the creaming paddle, keep scraping that side down, but this is going to work, and this is a technique that makes your life so much easier. It makes brilliant cream cheese buttercream. So now it's starting to curdle slightly. Again, this is all perfectly normal, do not panic. You might think, oh, nothing's going to happen, there's no water coming out of mine. It's going to happen, I absolutely promise you. Just be patient, it's going to happen. Okay, here we go. Hear that wet puddle noise? It is now, the 2 are combined, and it is now chucking the water out. It's really, really going lively in here now. In fact, if I don't turn it down a touch, it's going to splash me in the face. The really interesting thing about doing it my way here is that when you do remove all the water from this, you are amazed at how much actually is in that cream cheese. And it does prove to you why it's always so runny. So, okay, I'm going to remove this first batch because sometimes you can get so much that it's just not going to do any more for the moment. Normally, I do this in 2 batches. So I have my sieve and I've got myself a glass bowl so that you can see what's coming out here. Right, if you notice this time, nothing is stuck to the paddle. Everything has just come off. It looks quite disgusting, right? Here it comes. Right, this is my first lot. And it just comes straight out. And the bowl is left with quite a lot of fluid residue in there. So I'm just going to put that back on because I'm going to get another lot out of this. Give that a tap and pop it back in, if it'll stay back in. Come on. In. There we go. So already, as you notice, that's quite a lot in there. So and that's only the first amount. So let's go back and do it again. Again, a medium speed until you get that water. Here we go. Hear the noise again. More is coming out again. But we want it to have a good go. It's not as much. It's just there. What you'll need to do is get yourself a cloth or a piece of kitchen roll or blue roll or something, because once we take this out now, we're going to wipe the bowl so that everything is completely dry. Right, I don't think I'm getting much more out of mine there, so I'm just going to grab myself something to wipe this bowl down with, so give me 1 second. Okay, I'm back and I've got some blue roll here, so let's just remove the paddle. That on top of my tea towel there, and for the last time here, tip that out and make sure you get all of this out because you need to wipe this bowl down. So there's my bowl. Don't worry about it being clean, we just want to get the moisture out of it. So I'm going to go all the way around and just make sure that this bowl is dry. There we go. Right, one more. Here we go. And I'm dry. So as you can see, I've smeared butter everywhere, but that really doesn't matter because we're making buttercream. Okay. Just another tap. Just want to try and get as much of that out as possible. Pop it back in. And now we're going to whip it. And look at that inside there. That is so much in there. And that was only 150 grams. So if you were doing more, you would be using a lot of water in your buttercream if you didn't take this out. So, right. Now, with this buttercream, I've already got a half batch that I'm going to use for my cake. So I've only made another half batch here just to show you so that it all comes together. So the actual amount that you need, I will write in the description box. So all of the ingredient, the recipe for this will be in there. Right, let's get back to it. Medium. And now this is going to beat up for about 8 minutes to make it light and fluffy and the way we need it to be, which should be the base of any buttercream, because if you don't get this light, airy, moussey butter, you're going to get grainy, horrible buttercream. So it's pulling away from the sides. It's not looking like it's going to do it, but it is. So I'm going to come back to you when mine starts to mousse up so that you can, there we go. Actually, it's doing a bit quicker than it normally is. It's beginning to go now. It's clutching to the sides. You can see it's starting to look more like buttercream. So I'm going to leave you now for around about 7 or 8 minutes and come back to you. Right, I think that's only been about 5 minutes. For you, it was literally a second, but for me, this is really, really light, airy, and whipped up. Look at this. Oh, is that going to fall? So look at that. That is completely silky. It looks like regular, just whipped up butter. You wouldn't realise the cream cheese if you couldn't smell it. So that's the way it's meant to look. Now I am going to give that a couple more minutes and come straight back to you, and then we're going to put the icing sugar in. Icing sugar must be sifted because otherwise you can get lumps in there, and then that's where a bit more of the graininess is going to come from. We whip up like this because it's going to dissolve this a lot better when it's all light and airy. So that's the reason for this. So carry on and I'll be back to you. Right. Oh, the piece. So this is exactly the way I want it to be. This looks really good. You can see there from a paddle, look how whipped and light this is. Got all that air in there. This is exactly the way we want this to be. So now it's time to be adding the icing sugar. So I like to add the icing sugar in 3 stages. So into thirds. So 1/3, then a second third, and then the last. So I've got 500 grams of icing sugar here. So I'm going to put that on. There we go. And then we get our trusted tea towel to stop me looking like a ghost. Pop that over the top, put it on the lowest speed. There we go. And then it only takes a couple of seconds. There we go, we're combined enough now for me to take the tea towel away. And then we're going to put that up to a medium speed. There we go. And let that go for about 2 minutes. Right then. That's been going for a couple of minutes and it's lovely and smooth and incorporated. So now we're going to pop in some more. There we go. Again, back with the tea towel. There have been times I've forgotten this and I really wish I hadn't, because I've got covered and I had a lot to clean up. Right, let that incorporate again. And then we'll get ready to add the vanilla on after the second lot. Right, that was another couple of minutes. Last amount goes in, and then we will add the vanilla. So this I will literally just incorporate, because then I'm going to add the vanilla. What I want us to do then is just let it go round for about 5 minutes. On a very low speed. So let's just put this last lot in. Okay, take that away. Right, that's all incorporating now, and I'm going to add half a teaspoon here of vanilla. Right, and then what we're going to do is we're just going to leave this on this speed. So we've been doing it on this one, that's far too fast. So all you want is this lowest speed. Now the reason we're doing this is to get rid of those air bubbles. If you rank up your speed like this, that's just air. The machine just is throwing air upon air in there, and that's why you're getting all those air pockets. So leaving it like this, it will just work its way on the slowest speed for about 5 minutes, and it will stop putting that air into it. So this part is important. It's also giving that butter and the sugar a better chance to dissolve. So don't ignore this part if you want really, really good buttercream. Also, just before I leave you, there is no need to add any extra liquid to this. There's no need to add milk, there's no need to add water. Obviously you wouldn't with cream cheese anyway, because normally it would just be a running mess. But there obviously is some amount of water in the cream cheese that we can't get to. And that little bit that we leave in allows this to be a completely perfect cream cheese consistency. So let's leave this alone and I'll come back to you when it's completely finished. Okay, right, we have our cakes, so I'm just going to make sure that they're not stuck around the side. There we go. Oh, lovely and spongy. There we go, let's take that off there. There we are. one. So we've got one. I like to rest mine on some parchment paper. Just, there we go. I can feel the sponge on this. It's so soft. It's absolutely lovely. Look at the bounce on that. And finally the last one. These are still a little bit warm, so I'm going to pop my cream cheese into the fridge for about half an hour, and then we're going to decorate. So I'll see you in about half an hour. Right, so we have everything here. So we've got our cakes, they have now cooled. We've got our buttercream, so it's time to assemble. Right, I've got my turntable here, and I've also just got a small board on the bottom. So I'm just going to put some of this onto there to stop my sponge from flying around, and pick this up really delicately because it is so soft. And then put some of this, oh look at that, across the top there. Oop, there we go. If I move that you can see. And then just going to spread it around, obviously to whichever thickness that you want yours to be. Lovely. Okay. Lovely. I use a palette knife for this, but if you want to, you can use a piping bag. Really up to you. Just try and get it as level as possible. Excellent. Right then, time for the next layer. Again, lift it as carefully as possible. Beautiful. There we go. Now, if you want to leave it just as a two-tiered cake, that's absolutely fine. But I am doing it for three there. I don't know why I'm doing it this way when I've got this. Trying to make life hard for myself. There we go. There we go. I prefer the odd layers than just the two. There we are. And as you can see going through it, there's very minimal air pockets in this as well, which is fantastic because that means we did what we wanted to do well. Just don't have enough around the edges there. So right, and my final layer. And there we go. And look at that. Absolutely beautiful. So now we're going to pop on the final lot. Right then, now we are just going to cover the outside. So, a good bit on the top. There we go. Trying to keep that top bit as straight as possible, so working that buttercream around uniform to the edges. Just drag it round. Lovely. And then we're just going to take some and put it around the outsides. I don't want mine to have a really thick casing of this. I want to be able to see almost like a naked cake. So I like to be able to see those layers coming through on the carrot cake. Otherwise I think it just looks too much like a regular cake, and I don't think that's what carrot cake is. So I'm just going to keep taking all of this and working it around right down to the bottom. We're also almost going to make this look like we are just crumb coating it, putting it on and bringing it back to the base. The cake is so nice that none of it is actually falling off here. Obviously you get certain parts, but sometimes with sponge it can all just weep off a little bit, and this is holding so nicely. Okay. There we go. So, using a side bowl there, just to put the bits that I take off, because I don't want to pop them in with the nice buttercream there. Keep going round just to make it sharp as possible there. I love that buttercream. Just sitting on it nicely and then being able just to see those layers all the way through. Bring my knife up, skim across the top. Excellent. A couple of little parts there that didn't quite come up. I don't know about you, but I find this so relaxing. So just up to the top, let's just pull it up again a little bit. You can see when you get it higher, then you can push it in at the same each level. So that's the way we want to get that. Let's use my parchment paper just to, there we go. And if you can see me from that angle, just pushing it away. Lovely. And then let's just spin it all around there and coming into the middle. There we go. So that is, for the moment, my carrot cake. So I am going to pop this in the fridge for about 10 minutes whilst I put what I've got left of my cream cheese into a piping bag, and then we're just going to decorate the top. So I'll be back to you. Right then, so I've got my piping nozzle in here, and I am just, oh hang on, let me just tell you, I am using, to keep in with the cupcakes, I am using a 2F. Now, I normally use a 1M, so I thought I'd mix it up a little bit, and I really like those extra swirls you get. So that's what this is, a 2F, but you can use a 1M, a 2D, it really doesn't matter. So I've got my piping bag in a glass here, and let's just put that cream cheese mixture, don't waste it, into there. Brilliant. And I'm just going to pop that to one side for a minute. Give it a, there we go. Let gravity take its course there and let it just fall. Okay, so I'm going to take one of these cupcakes. I'm going to take this one because I like these two. Right, I'm going to take one of these cupcakes and somebody gets to eat the top. And then we're just going to pull away all of the sponge there. There we go. And I'll leave the cream cheese to one side. And then with our fingers, we're just going to break up. And this is what is on top here. I just took one of the cupcakes and broke it down in this way, because this makes a really nice decoration for the top. So I would take out those raisins because they're not exactly easy to work with and they'll ruin the effect. So just make sure that you take out any of those that are in there and have this sponge extremely fine. There we are. That looks lovely now. Right. So now let's decorate the cake. So let me grab my cake and be back to you. My cake and a little bit of blue roll, just because I want to tidy up the board. So just taking a bit of kitchen roll, blue roll, and just making sure that that is a seamless join there at the bottom. You don't want bits of cake and buttercream mixed everywhere. So just push the board down a little bit and you can get into that there. There we go. Lovely. Right, here we go. Let's just bring my bowl forward just to make sure I'm happy. Lovely. Right then, so here I'm just going to, a few of those, look at that. All the way around. The smell of the cream cheese on this is absolutely gorgeous. And again, down and around. Down. And the last one there. Lovely. There we go. Then I'm going to take some of this. Actually, hang on one second. I'm just going to do some smaller ones here. There we are. So with this one, I'm just pushing down and then going up and down. There we are. There we go. Lovely. And we're going to take this and we're just going to dust all across the top of the cake here with this. Trying to get as close to the edges as you can. You can see the peel in this as well, so it just lifts that it's carrot cake that's in there. Trying to get it as even as you can, all the way around. And putting a bit extra into the middle. Okay, so I've made some carrots to go on the cake. You can't see me because I wanted you to see what I'm doing here. So I've used some sugar flare orange and I've just coloured some modelling paste and then taken a circle just in the palm of my hand, just thinner at one end than the other, then take it on here. There we go. As simple as that. There's our carrot. Then for the top part, all I've done is taken a little bit of green. Oh, a little bit too much. Depends how long you want it to be. I have just popped it on the top there like that. And then with my fingers, just pushed it up and around and made it kind of flat. Then take the scissors and then just snip into the tops, just like this. Yeah. There, there. There we go. So that's that bit. And then with my knife, just really, really faintly, don't push too hard, just go round the carrot with the knife, starting and stopping in different places. Like this, and then that gives the impression, like it does, of all those marks on a carrot. So that there is how I have created and made a carrot. So we're going to use these and put these on the cake. Okay, let's use these carrots that we just made. So let's take one of these. I'm just going to lay one across on a side, each one of these across the top. Just adds such a clever little bit of decoration to the top, which I quite like. There we are. There we are, that certainly makes that look better. Just push them in a little bit more there, so that they sink in there. And then around the outside, because we don't want the outside to look bare, so in the buttercream that's sticking out, we're just going to put some carrots throughout the buttercream here, and they'll stick to the outside. And it will just pull the whole cake together. There we are. Try and keep them all going the same way because you want it to look as uniform as possible. Okay. Putting the little markings on it certainly does make the carrots look a lot more realistic as well. So there we go. And that is our finished carrot cake. The ones that I've got left, I can just pop into the middle there, just to finish it off nicely. And there we go. That there is my version of carrot cake. I tried to make it as simple as possible, but I do like to add my little bits of decorations. So I really hope you've enjoyed this. I hope you enjoy the carrot cake, and I will see you soon. Thank you, bye bye.